The new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, he might be sexist, misogynistic, homophobic, and racist, but that doesn't mean he can't do his job. He didn't mention any of those things in his acceptance speech this week. Peter Marshall said he'd rather be a failure for the cause than be a success at a failure. Why is it that every accolade always seems to be followed by condemnation? We've all experienced the intolerance of tolerance. So now it's time to give intolerance a chance. Welcome. Welcome to Conservative Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. At Conservative Coffee Hour, we've been going around and around on all these topics for almost 3 years now, primarily with political insider Lawrence Legas and guests, including candidates, office holders, and party leaders, both Democrat, Republican, and Libertarian. It's a mixed bag. Larry is an old school Democrat, and I'm more of a Republican, whatever that means. It's kind of like the old Saturday Night Live skit, Point Counterpoint, with Jane Curtin and Dan Aykroyd. Some people feel disrespected on the call, including myself. Living in Chicago with a contrarian view, I just thought that was part of having a conversation. When I'm insulted, I see it as an opportunity to learn something about myself and about the person doing the insulting. At a dinner party recently, we discussed the Chicago newspapers of our youth. Looking back, we can see that the Tribune was more of the Republican paper and the Sun-Times was more of the Democrat paper, even though we didn't really think of things like that at that time. The whole idea of red state, blue state wasn't even invented yet until CBS created it in their reporting of the Reagan-Mondale election. A Google search of previous speakers of the House is like a who's who of disappointing characters, both Democrat and Republican, trading places on the narrative timeline. We've been told to go along and get along, but then we feel like we've been sold down the river. In the meantime, the world is falling apart. This is the backdrop to the arrival of the new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Mr. Johnson says he's a Christian, a father, husband, and patriot. This week, we'll discuss, can anything good come out of Louisiana? I've never heard of Mike Johnson, and Louisiana, we never hear much about that either. When Katrina hit New Orleans, we learned that there was a lot of poverty in this country. We don't hear that much about that anymore either. But we do hear about people looking for protection as protected class instead of poverty, those seeking special privileges based on gender, race, sexuality, and ethnicity. I like what the new speaker said in his opening comments as speaker. He said he would be representing the entire body and not just be a spokesperson for one party. Even if that's just lip service, I like a little lip service now and then. The new speaker said we can be true to our values and hold to them, and at the same time respect the process. We have discussed this concept before, that we do need to go along and get along, but we can hold to our values without being sold down the river. And at closer look, we can see that we're gaining ground. They tell us the red wave never happened, but we've said goodbye to Nancy Pelosi and now have a majority of people in Congress who respect the process instead of just jamming through an agenda. Also, public sentiment continues to sour on the progressive agenda, all against the backdrop of a world spinning out of control. Mr. Johnson lifted up the debt crisis and illegal immigration as two critical issues that must be addressed. These are two more things that we never seem to hear as much about as we need to. So we are making progress. Mr. Johnson was elected unanimously by his party. And at the end of the day, who doesn't just love a party? We're in a train wreck in this country and in the world. We don't need politically correct leadership. We need people to get the job done. Let's pray these people can get it done and get it done together so we can all avoid the disappointing Google search and we can lean into intolerance. I'd rather have the tolerance of intolerance than the intolerance of tolerance. If you would like to join us at Conservative Coffee Hour is every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Time on Zoom. I will include my email in the description of this video. I'll be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.